Disclaimer. This guest is known to cause defects to your dreams. The emotional talks are not to be taken to your heart. The content is under pressure and may be very hot and spicy for your taste. Avoid direct contact with judgment and your emotions. If rashes develop, discontinue. Do not attempt this at home. No professional designers were harmed after they read the script of the show. Substantial penalty for early withdrawal for the audience. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hello everyone, we're about to start with the best show ever. Watch me weep, get burned, thrashed and seasoned with roast and still taste great because I can and I will host the show today. My name is Dipanshu Singhal and welcome to ads.com. Once upon a time, designers were perceived as decent people who always had control on whatever they talked about and were seen as very desired creatures. Yeah, right. Designers have this huge stash of craziness and weirdness in them at any given time. We at ads.com thought that this is the thing which the world needs to see. Designers at their crankiest but ironically at their best. This is what ads.com represents. Here we celebrate failures and cheer the gladiators within the gristing arena. Get ready to be inspired, roasted, offended and teary-eyed and just basically question your existence to its maximum. So on a hot panel, we have Gaurav Lulla and Saurabh Kanwar. Gaurav Lulla is co-founder of Loose Cannon Content Studio. He is a seasoned entertainment and media industry professional and has worked with some of the most iconic yet premium brands in the country. On the other hand, we have Saurabh Kanwar, co-founder of ATKT.in. He is known for his remarkable creative marketing solutions and digital brand content execution. So before we start with the first segment, I'd like both the speakers to pledge their allegiance to the world of designeering.
Designeering is my passion.
All designers are my fraternity brothers and sisters.
All the great designers and my friends present in the panel
will get an equal opportunity to tell me
that my designs are as good as the art done by primary students.
I vow to take design seriously and defend thy honor.
When someone asks me for a free logo,
if someone asks me to clear bugs, I'll admire them.
If someone notices my incomplete portfolio,
I will not be offended tonight.
I will not trace images to call myself a designer tonight.
I will not copy the codes to call myself a programmer.
I'll try to learn tools
beyond the pen tool.
I will try to help people as much as I can,
but not before getting a commission.
Lastly,
I pledge my allegiance to the world of designeering
and vow to undertake
the journey of self-realization
that we design for the users
and their opinions matter as much.
We will rock you.
So starting with the first segment of this show, Lightning Talks. The guests today will be sharing some of their snippets and experiences while growing up steadily in the industry. So here we go. Starting with the first speaker, Gaurav, the stage is all yours.
Hi everyone. Thank you ads.com for giving me this opportunity. And this is a very interesting opportunity because unlike what most talks are, which are about, oh look what great stuff I have done, I was told to talk about some of the biggest mistakes I have done in my life. And I think in life, you learn from your mistakes far more than you learn from your successes. And I think that's exactly what I want to share with you, everyone. I've been a media professional who has dabbled with digital media, social media, content, and finally zoned down that content creation is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that journey has not been a very linear one. And I think that linearity or the lack of it is the fundamental base of all the mistakes I have done in my life and things that I chased that I personally shouldn't have, or things that I should have that I personally didn't. And that's what I would want to share with all of you today. So let's go with the first one. And the first one that comes up, and this is one of those biggest mistakes that everyone follows in their life, and that's this one. We always, when you are looking at your career, you start looking at industries. Oh, I want to be in technology. Oh, I want to be in fashion. Oh, I want to be in manufacturing, or I want to be in design, for that matter. And I think I've realized that's the biggest mistake we do. We start choosing industries. I want to be in advertising, and that's one of the biggest mistakes I have done all my life. I always thought I wanted to chase an industry without actually realizing that the role I played within that industry actually was the same skill set over and over and over again. And if right at the beginning of my career, I was told this, choose a skill set, because that makes you fluid across industries, that makes you very fluid across what you do within each industry. Advertising is a very large world. And within that world, if you sort of zone down on what actually you're good at, you might end up being better. Chase money. And I think this is something that everyone needs to hear very loud and clear. You have to chase money, but you need to know when to stop. There is a critical limit on what, according to you, is a good life. Define that life before you get there. Because once you think that I will know once I get there, you will never know. And hence that money will never be enough. You start taking decisions slowly and slowly just to fulfill the lacuna of your life, instead of realizing that there is a bare optimum or a bare maximum. And hence it's very important to chase money, but you know when to stop. Also, another big important point here is we've been told since we were children, oh, being money minded is not good. No, being money minded is great. I meet enough and more 25-year-olds who have no idea how to make money, who have no idea about their finances, because they think, oh, money isn't important. Money is important. It gives you peace of mind, but it also takes it away when you don't know when to stop. This is a very important one, and I personally feel I've learned this over a period of time. It's not something that you learn in a day. Your time is your most valuable asset. If you are in a bad job, forget the amount of money you would make if you were in another. The amount of time you have wasted in that bad job is far, far, far more detrimental, because you can't get that back. The lacuna of money that is there, you will find it somewhere else. But the problem is this time is not coming back again. Also, as freelancers, as design independents, I don't see anyone actually charging for their time. We charge for a set of creatives, we charge for a set of number of units, we charge for a set of services that we offer, but we never charge for time. And I think the moment you start realizing that something takes time far more, so I can make one thing that takes 20 minutes or 20 things that take 1 minute, it's not the same. And it's time that goes into that. And I think you need to start appreciating the value of your time and start valuing it yourself first. Again, the thing I personally felt I missed out on in the beginning part of my career, because I was guided through this notion of, oh, let's do a MBA, then follow a management degree, and follow that path as you go along. I realized I wasn't looking at the next big thing. Pele said this, that I'm a great football player not because I dribble very well. I just run to where the ball is going to be and not where it is. And I think that's something that as designers, as creators, we need to understand. Be involved in the next big thing. Because if you're going to only look at what is good today or what is big today, it will be redundant tomorrow. Design apes life. Our life is changing rapidly. Our universe changes very rapidly. So if you're not involved in the next big thing, if you're not involved in some form in AI, you're really missing out on a big bus. If you're not involved in some form with respect to cloud computing, you are missing out a big story. You're not involved in how can e-commerce go to the next level, you're missing out on a big thing. This is something that, again, I have noticed over a period of time in myself change, and I would love everyone to have it. Attitude in the real world beats ability 11 out of 10 times. And it's something that I cannot emphasize too much on. We give ourselves this window of, oh, we're creative, we're okay. It's okay to be moody because I'm creative. No, it's not. It's not at all okay to do that, because your attitude defines who you are. How are you to work with? And most importantly, how is it to work with you? And if that experience is great, trust me, they'll come back to you no matter how expensive you are. You will always find people with great ability, more often than not taking that as an excuse to have an attitude. Trust me, it's the beginning of a downfall the day that happens. You don't have to be a pushover, but I don't think you need to bring in a high degree of pride when you are successful. And this is my last point. And this is something that I really wish everybody follows. We're all out there nowadays because design is such a great part or a great way to self-express. You're always trying to prove a point, stand for something, believe in something. Let all that influence you, but not let your art not be that. Prove yourself. Stop proving points to people even in your everyday life. You're proving a point. What does that happen? What does that win for you? Prove yourself. I communicate this point in the best way possible is a better way to do this than to prove a point. So many times we find individuals in our lives who do not agree with us, and we are too busy trying to prove them wrong. Forget it. It's unimportant. If they don't agree with you, it's all right. It is a subjective masterpiece that you are creating. Don't prove points. You'll always lose yourself in doing that. Prove yourself. And the more you prove yourself, the less you will have to prove a point, right?
Thank you so much, Gaurav. That was really an amazing journey of yours. It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived it at all. In which case, you fail by default. So let's know from Saurabh how his journey of failures made him what he is today. Saurabh, the stage is all yours.
Hey guys, it's great to talk about my life in terms of the way your format is, because that's actually how I've been unofficially doing it for myself for all these years. And the story starts from before I was born. Actually, it starts when my parents ran out of pre-partition Pakistan to settle down in India. And the thing with Punjabi families in post-partition is that we all claim that we lost billions of dollars, hundreds of acres of land, 3-story houses with palaces attached, and the joke amongst the Punjabis is that if you add it all together, it would be bigger than the area of Jupiter. So we start talking about our failures early, saying, look, that's what I had, and look what I had to leave behind to come here, and now here I am. So I made it through school kind of easily, not much going on, pretty straight and narrow boys' school. But when I got to my degree, my dad, who never asked anything of me, said, medicine maybe. And me, who just got into a medical college in the last list, said, nahin, bahut kaam hai, too much work, I'll stick to engineering, which is like the thing happening now. And I did. I took engineering over medicine, and then I chose electronics over comp science to discover much to my chagrin very quickly that it's shit. There's nothing to be had by doing electronics. So I spent all my time in engineering, running into college festivals, because that's the only way you could leave the prison of college. And I'll connect that back to the rest of my life pretty soon. But even as career progressed, everyone was into taking these really cool companies like that had just come around, TCS and Cognizant and all of that. I took that one job that nobody else thought was interesting, which was doing sales for a company called Wipro. It was just coming into the scene, small little company, not too much going on, selling computers, networking equipment, video conferencing, trying to say, look, actually I'm doing the cooler thing. Coding, boring, sitting at a desk. What's the future in that? And inevitably, after you take a sales job, you realize that you can't do much without getting an MBA, right? Me and my best buddy, we had this thing going that we did the same stupid decisions on taking jobs, on doing our entrances. And he cracked the CAT and he got into IIM Cal, and I didn't. And that actually kind of just shoved the electric prod up my behind and made me get into CET. If it hadn't been for that failure, I don't think I would have made it into an MBA course. But with that, in this, I was in the merit list and got a free seat. So my dad didn't even have to pay the fee. He got like $5,000 a year. That worked out okay. So there was not much going on in MBA. If you look at it, it's fairly average teaching in most colleges, not much practical stuff. We had the advantage of being very close to Unilever. It was opposite our college, and that was the dream of everyone, to get a summers there. I read a couple of books from my dad's shelf and somehow made it through the interview and got a Unilever summers, which was like, everyone was, dude, you made it, that's it, now just work for your pre-placement offer. I hated it. I hated the whole idea of the most amazing summers. Doing a brand marketing summers in Unilever was the worst thing that could have happened to me. I spent my time designing other people's project reports. That's how I got interested in staying in Bangalore at that time. So I came back thinking, look, I don't want to really get into selling soap for the rest of my life. That's a terrible job. What I really like is advertising. I should get that. Now, Unilever, etc., day one jobs, as you know, on campus, that's where you need to get in if you have street cred. And I was part of the placement committee. Everyone gets placed by day one. I chose to stay out to join advertising because that's what I wanted to do, which is not a day one job, meaning that everyone kind of just said, "Ye kaisa aadmi hai?" And with that disdain came a lot of trouble. But I made it into my job, very excited to start advertising, and found out that my HR had lied to the entire batch about the money we were going to make. But at that time, as I was frustrated, shouting out loud, it would have been great if I could work in a company like MTV. One of my colleagues said, actually, my brother works in MTV and they're just looking for someone. You want to go for the interview? So, that worked out kind of okay for me. And then I spent my time with some of the most creative, amazing people, making mistakes and being okay with it, being my own client, my own agency with full freedom. It was a job that I can't even dream of getting again. In fact, all of us from those times say that we try to recreate that experience for the rest of our lives. And one of the pinnacles of my work was the ability to pitch shows to clients that we could sell for big money. One of the shows we pitched was to a guy called Hero Honda trying to sell a bike called Charisma. And if you see this picture, I'm standing behind that pink background. I'm holding it up against the wind. So I'm in that picture. Unfortunately, the show flopped. I helped create a really, really nice subculture-based show that didn't go anywhere. And my production guys hated it. Fortunately, the client liked it, so it stayed on. And while I moved on from MTV, Roadies became not a subculture show, but a culture-defining show in India. So that, I think, worked out okay. I moved on to many other jobs, did fun stuff for Disney, helped set up their first advertising thing in the whole world because they pay everywhere else, and then moved to Channel V, where I tried to better what I did at MTV. Channel V is like the Sith Lord to the Jedi of MTV. So it was like really going to the dark side at that time. But it was fun. And so I had an even bigger concert series that I did here compared to MTV and all of that. But in the end, they wanted to put soaps on the channel, put like Saas Bahu type serials. And I said, I don't want to work for that. What would really work is a campus-based channel with a campus-based show. I tried to pitch it. My bosses liked the idea, but they still went ahead with the soaps. So I had to go. I couldn't stay on. And I failed to convince them. But they did end up doing the Nokia India Fest, which again connects back to what I'm going to be telling you right in the end about my life. Somewhere after that, I started my business, got into the whole digital, social, all of that, and got diagnosed with something called adult attention deficit disorder, which is 25 years too late. If I got to know that in school, I would have been treated for it. I would have been cracking the JEE and all those handsome dreams that everyone thinks happen to people and actually don't. But 25 years later, what that ended up doing for me was that made me the kind of guy that fit the bill for running a digital content based agency, because my entire life is driven by distraction and interestedness. I only go to things that are interesting, and that actually helped me do my job as an agency guy for brands better. In doing this, what I also, from my advertising experience, I didn't want to fool anyone. My HR was straight and narrow. We wanted to create a culture that was genuinely unique. Yes, in that picture below, I'm wearing a pirate hat and answering a phone on a fire extinguisher. This is a real thing. But we failed to create the customary agency that makes people work 12 hours, pays them for 6, makes them work 7 days a week. We actually had well balanced hours, etc., which meant that we weren't as profitable as the hard pushing agencies, but also meant that we had some of the best creative guys in the business. And we ended up creating a community based model for content, which we started putting our money into, and clients started recognizing us for something useful. So in the effort to not be that guy in advertising and not make a lot of bottom line profits, we actually created a firm that some of the greatest guys have come from it, and 4 business models emerged. So I think that kind of went off okay. So I was kind of getting done with corporate life, with the whole Channel V nonsense, and started my own agency. And because of my past experience, I said I don't want to do all the things that those shitty people made us do back then, which is work 12, 14, 15 hours a day, not get paid enough, just not have great structure, and HR cheats you, none of that. So I created an organization that had some of the best creative people, and I got the ability, as you can see in the picture, to answer a phone wearing a pirate hat, but the phone's on a fire extinguisher. those kind of interesting things happened. But what also happened was, because of this kind of crazy creative environment and balanced environment that we had, we were able to not make a lot of profits, but to create brand new business models that came out of community. So around independent music, independent arts, one of those became a show on VH1. Another is my current business, which is now, as described, 80KT, a campus thing, which mixes three important ingredients: my college festival days, the fact that I was deeply embedded in that, the inability of Channel V to create a campus-based environment. So 10 years that business model has been available, and me with all these lovely creative people being able to create something that has never been seen in India before in the world of college extracurriculars. So I think it kind of ended up fairly okay.
Now that's a story. Someone rightly said, you don't learn to work by following rules, you learn by doing and by falling over. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, Saurabh. I know that till now this show must have motivated you, but simultaneously made you a bit serious and conscious. But now it's not the time. Because it's the time for the cheese to our nachos. So here comes the last segment of the show, the quiz session. I hope you guys have some popcorn ready and some chill drinks by your side, because this is going to be a very heated and very toasty session. We'll start with the sizzling battle between Bootcamp, represented by Gaurav Lulla, and Degree, represented by Saurabh Kanwar.
Let's talk about degrees. Okay. It's interesting that I'm on this side of the table, considering I have a degree, and not just one, but two of them to my name. And I'm actually roasting everyone who wants to get a degree right now. But that's probably because I have the inside access to what actually happens in getting a degree and what happens eventually when you do get one. What's a degree, if not the original nepotism of the educational and professional sector?
Whoa, okay.
Oh, you're from this college, you must be great. Oh, you're from this university, you must be very, very talented. Let me give you more money because obviously you're from this great degree that you just got yourself. If that's not nepotism, what is? If that's not the sheer idea that if you belong to a certain community, you are better, if that's not nepotism, then what is? If you're not the inner circle, then what is? This is exactly the biggest problem with degrees. Degrees do not explain the person's journey. They explain only the association to an entity. And that's my biggest problem on how degrees are used. Another big issue with degrees, and fundamentally, is the fact that they actually are invested, and a lot of those degrees are invested in stereotyping caliber. You have a certain caliber within you. You say that I'm good at something. You need this stamp that you're good at it. And that stamp is a degree. Almost as if that if you didn't have that stamp, you would never be able to prove that. Now, come to think of it, some of the most amazing things in life that are for free and that are some of the biggest decisions in your life, you don't get stamped for them. How many people get stamped for being a great husband before getting married? Nobody.
I don't know, certainly.
You decide that once you get there, right? How many people get stamped great father before becoming a father? Nobody. But in this universe, for some reason, we believe that if I want to be proven myself as a great engineer, I need to be from an IIT. Oh, and let's not talk about the badge value that everyone talks about. Oh, you have a degree, that's some great badge value. Are you a Pomeranian in a dog show waiting for an award? Why are you waiting for a badge to prove to the world who you are?
So true.
You are who you are, and at the end of the day, sooner or later, somebody will show you that. It's exactly like how a star kid gets their first film. But if it's bad, they're not getting a second one. They're not getting a third
True.
one. And that's exactly versus you get the first one, which is not so hot, but eventually you'll get there. So if you think that a degree is going to shortcut success, you're highly mistaken. It's not going to do that in any form whatsoever. This badge value lasts till your first loss. The first time you lose, this badge value has no value after that. So it's really, really up to you then to keep winning all the time versus having no pressure, doing what you really please like doing and eventually getting to where you really want to get. I think the other big problem with degrees is why you get degrees. And if I wish everyone who got a degree got it for knowledge. But I don't think that happens. People get degrees for placements. People get degrees and they talk about degrees like it's mutual funds. MBA कर लिया तो इतने पैसे मिल जाएंगे. अगर design NID से कर लिया तो मेरे को इतने पैसे मिल जाएंगे. It's not a mutual fund, guys. It's not something you invested in as fees and then you look at return value on the basis of the first job you get. That's not what a degree is. It's not a financial tool. If you want to do a degree for getting a financial tool, there are cheaper, better, far more effective ways of doing it. Don't waste 2 years of your life doing it. That's just useless. I mean, I don't know why would you want to do that. Oh, here's the other interesting thing. Once you get the degree, what next? Here's the best part. You go to an office and the first thing everybody will tell you is you need to unlearn what you just learned in that degree.
Oh, true that.
I mean, didn't I just pay lakhs of rupees, spend 2.5, 3 years of my life getting that degree, and now I'm being told to unlearn it for a little while? Like as if it was a little disease that I got and now I need an antidote first to get over it and then come into the real world? I mean, why would I do that? But the reason is 95% of what you learn in a degree is not from the syllabus. And if you were absent from that 95% because you were so busy about your syllabus, you don't know the real world. You have no idea what the real world operates as. You know how it operates in books. You know how it operates in theory. You have no idea how it operates in the real life. 95% of the time in the real world is spent in squashing egos or living up to them.
Yeah.
Not taught in any degree, anywhere. All right. Most importantly, let's look at media depiction of graduates, degree holders. And have you seen this movie called Up, which had George Clooney playing the role and had this little girl who joined the team as a young girl who wanted to change the world by making it online? Who would you want to be? George Clooney or that young girl? Take that pick. Finally, here's the biggest truth that no one's ever told you about a degree. What you will be learning in that degree, whatever it may be, and whenever it may be, whatever field it may be, the way that that industry works has not yet even been discovered when you actually get to work.
Oh.
You have no idea.
Okay.
When I was doing my MBA, the entire digital ecosystem that I today say I'm very good at was clubbed into one course called New Media. That's how it was.
Oh.
And when I live today, and now when I'm asked to make decisions and big decisions about this new media, there's nothing from that degree that I can derive. It's all learned on the job. It's all learned on your own. So I really, really wish to tell everybody, if you think that you're investing in a degree to safeguard your future, you're highly mistaken. Having said that, there are a lot of pluses to this great thing called a degree. You make a great friend network. You make a network of people that actually help you grow in your career. However, is it that without that you will be unsuccessful? I think Michael Dell, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Mr. Travis from Uber, Evan Williams from Twitter, and Elon Musk have a far, far better network without that degree. So, you ask me, get a degree if you really, really, really want to learn. If you want to get a degree as a shortcut to success, as a safeguarding of your future, or the worst one, as a mutual fund where you invest in fees and get a job in return at a salary that's higher than that fee, don't do it. It's useless. That's
Whoa, this was really heated discussion with you, Gaurav. But now let's see what Saurabh has to say. So after this toasty attack, it's time to show what's there in your pocket, Saurabh.
Yeah, so this thing about bootcamp is an interesting thing. When I saw your topic, it was kind of interesting, and I was just overhearing my colleagues talking about Arnab right at that moment. Arnab Goswami, he's been in the news a lot, ironically, since he's supposedly part of a news channel. But I just thought that, and I started researching about him a little bit because I've really not known where he's come from, what he's done. And what I found was that he constantly in his shows, he's talking about things he doesn't know a lot about. And he talks about it with the expertise of like a deep insider. None of the things that he does last for more than a few days or weeks, and quickly his topics get distracted, he moves on to something else. He relies a lot on his connections more than his actual abilities to get things done, to to stop people from threatening him. He misuses his kind of network rather than any actual uh, reliable expertise that he had.
I feel like
He's
Arnav
also
still doesn't
he's
know what he wants to do. Arnav still has to figure out
he,
where he wants to go.
yeah, and you know what? Funny you should say that, because he's actually got a degree in social anthropology,
Okay.
and right now he calls himself a journalist, an expert journalist at that. In fact, he's bad-mouthed Shekhar Gupta, who's a great editor who's done the time of actual editing, stuff like that. In fact, when Arnab joined his first job, he started calling himself an expert journalist in like 3 months after working.
Okay.
I just stepped back and said, wait a minute, it just looks like Arnab is a bootcamp guy. That's really what it's coming down to. It's quite evident that that's what they have in common. That's why there was this familiarity with the story that was going on. So in any case, so I wanted to go down a little deeper into this kind of Alice in Wonderland world of boot camps, and I discovered another pop culture favorite. A lot of things that people have in the fans of guys like Jake Paul have in common with boot campers. Exactly the same stuff. No expertise, no knowledge, just talking, riffing off. So kind of weird. In fact, that the other day, my mom was giving out stories from the Mahabharata to my children. They were sitting around dinner and they were having a chat. So she spoke of that Arjun and the Eye of the Parrot story and a couple of other stories. And I waited and waited and I said, listen, you used to tell me one of these stories, but why have you missed that out on? She said, which one? I said, the Abhimanyu, he had this thing that he got into the Chakravyu, but he couldn't get out. So she looked at me and laughed. Are you crazy? They're replacing that in the Mahabharata, the story of boot camps, because that's a more apt story than what Abhimanyu went through. Like, yeah, you have a point there. That's true. You can get into any Chakravyu you want with your boot camp, but after that, without your 4 years of degree training, what you gonna do? How you gonna get out of it? Little difficult. COVID's been a bad deal, man. You guys been taking care, I guess. I hope all been well and healthy. So one of the things that all of us learned quite early in the game was that if you take the right nutritional supplements, you can actually defend yourself. Take zinc, take vitamin D, all of that. I heard, though, a very good buddy of mine, he got into hospital, so kind of worrying. So I reached out to him saying, dude, are you okay? Is this COVID? What is it? He says, actually, it's not COVID. Actually, the problem is that I wanted to get a head start on my immunity. So I took a 4 years worth of all these nutritional supplements in 3 days itself to kind of pack it in. तू boot camp किया था क्या life में instead of a degree? Turns out that was true. So clearly there is a philosophical approach that can affect your whole life where it comes to this efficacy of boot camps. Little suspect. Though I guess you must get those guys to hang out together, network a little bit more. Maybe they have some kinship. You know how you have all these Bharat matrimonial type sites?
Yeah.
But they're like targeted at people, for engineers, for doctors, for IITians.
Yeah,
So imagine a Bharat matrimony for just people who've done bootcamp courses or degree courses. Your marriage only lasts 3 weeks. You don't know too much about it. And everything else is stripped bare and you have to divorce right after that. And for kids, you have to go to another site later. You have to spend another 3 months at it. But you only have 3 months to produce kids, not 9 months.
Yeah.
I think that will succeed. It's a better plan than starting a bootcamp based course. That's my opinion. Although I don't know if you've been seeing all this talk in mass media about the drug guys. Lots of talk about Bollywood and drugs.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who has a friend who's actually in the business. So we were catching up with him, trying to figure out what's the gossip, what's really actually happening on the ground. So he said that all this is bullshit. I'm just getting out of it. I've actually found a much better business to be in, where the people in that market are bigger idiots than these drug addicts that I sell to. And you don't even have to get actual product. You just have to get a piece of paper, print a software bootcamp certificate, and you can make loads of money. So forget drugs. I'm just starting a bootcamp course.
Okay.
But that was pretty wise. So maybe I need to reassess my business model thinking a little bit. Do you guys watch Netflix?
Yeah, we do. Yes, of course.
There's this whole thing about binge watching, right?
Yeah, you binge watch like until you drop.
Yeah. But and especially in this lockdown, etc., it's been kind of concerning. In fact, psychologists have been saying, and there's a lot of studies that say that binge watching is actually bad for health.
I have been visiting my doctor for my eyesight because of that. So that's really harmful.
Eyesight's one of the things that you could actually get treated, but they're saying that they have psychological side effects of binge watching, and you have this kind of depression,
Yeah.
etc., that you get into after cramming all of this world into like 3 days continuously, not coming out of it.
No.
So in fact, I am suggesting that we call it boot camping, because there's so much common to that. You have the same effect. In a little time, you crunch up all this stuff, and after that, you come out and you get depressed because shit isn't what it's supposed to feel like. The world's not really Game of Thrones, and now you don't have anything to have for the next hit. So I think there's a place and time for boot camps, right? And there's a place and time for degrees. It's just that the place and time for boot camps is just like 5 minutes after the creation of the universe, and then never again. Because there's a reason, for example, why your boss has a degree and not a boot camp certificate.
Yeah.
That's how you get further in life. I doubt if boot campers are going to run the world. Although, think about it, what if boot campers actually ran the world? They would have like very limited knowledge of many things. They would focus on one or two issues, one or two things. They wouldn't even they would try to cram a lot of work in a small period of time and then not be able to do much for the rest of the year.
They'll have elections after every year.
Yeah, hang on, but actually it just sounds like the government is run by boot campers, because that's actually what they're doing.
Yes.
So maybe that's why things are broken, guys. Get out of the boot camp mindset. We need like a 4-year degree mindset.
Yeah.
That might work a little better off.
Don't you think bootcamp people are the ones who always skip the lines? Like in the long queue, they'll be like, "Bhai sahab, mujhe aage jana, please jaane do."
You're right, man. They're the guys who are like, I have this really important thing that I need to get back to.
Yeah.
So can I buy the tickets? हम लोग क्या गधे क्या 4 साल से खड़े इधर लाइन में डिग्री लेने के लिए? Come on, man. And
That's what.
honestly, it's the whole interaction doesn't give you much of the flavor of kind of the important things. I would love to imagine the boot camper trying to learn, say, football in 3 weeks, 12 weeks, and try to then become a champion. Or forget football. How about Formula One? Let's drive the fastest car in the world, but we have about like 3 months to quickly learn how to drive, how to get the finer points of it, and then we have to get through F3, F2, then F1. 3 months में हो जाएगा ना? मोटा मोटी, that's fine. You cover all the important bits. Unimportant bits, like, or we tell you about the accelerator, brake, and all. There's no time to talk to you about. That's okay, right?
Yeah. I mean,
How the world operates. You need to go and look at all the connected bits. You need to learn about sort of how things are interconnected with each other in the world. In that case, it's just like these bootcamp guys sometimes just come across as those annoying siblings. They'll do anything and everything, but in the end of the day, बड़े भाई को ही काम करना पड़ेगा finally. मेहनत करने के
so
लिए.
true, so true. I mean, I think these guys have their own, those portal doors. कि 4 साल का degree है. Like, let's do it in 3 weeks. Let's put a portal door and just walk through. आगे we'll have everything cooked.
If they were the guys who may eventually design that beam me up Scotty kind of technology from Star Trek to get from point A to point B. But that would be, I think, about 1500 years in the future. Not going to happen now, guys. A lot of work before that can actually happen. You guys have to catch up a bit. But let's be clear. When you're a degree person in a job, I think you get taken at face value. You never have to worry about the fact that you're getting paid less than the other person, or whether you have actually been compensated fairly, or do you still need to bargain more because you own a certificate instead of a degree. But
True that. Don't you think that this freelancing culture was started by bootcamp people? They were like, job तो नहीं मिला था, so I just started doing it by my own.
You're right. This whole gig culture seems to be from there.
Yeah.
And you know what happened to the guys who went for the whole gig thing with Ola and Uber? Well, it sounds like you can make a lakh a month, but not really. That only worked in the ad. Once you're on the road, you're on your own, buddy. That's not gonna happen. But let's be fair. We know that you recognize the importance of what we were doing,
Yeah.
and let us recognize the importance of what they did, or the lack of it, because there's a lot you don't know. But it's fine.
True.
You can happy a little bit.
In the end, like in the end, the knowledge that we degree will gather is the thing, right? Experience, 4 years, not a short time.
Dude, I was mentioning about Star Trek. Those guys who wear this. There's a particular class of characters when you watch the classic Star Trek, which is the guys who wore red shirts. So if someone came into a show who you didn't know and he was wearing a red Star Trek shirt,
Yes.
you knew that they were going to have a battle in say they're going to go down to a planet and battle, and one guy is going to die, and that's going to be the red shirt guy. Because someone has to die, and it can't be like Captain Kirk and Spock and stuff like that. So I think boot campers are the red shirts of our design and software world.
Oh,
Someone has to be grist for the cannon fodder, I think it's called in gaming. The NPCs in a game,
yeah.
probably boot campers, not degree guys. Boss level guy, definitely degree guy. Postgraduate degree.
True.
NPC,
say,
boot campers.
like, guys watching the show, this is a fun thing, okay? Do not take it to your hearts and minds. We're just having a fun conversation.
And then do your degree.
Yeah, do your degree. That's a must. Spend 4 years, do a hostel life, और घर में 3 हफ्ता बैठ के you're gonna start a business. What is this?
You can learn cooking that way.
Damn, Saurabh, you pulled out some thorns which are really gonna sting these bootcamp folks. Gaurav and Saurabh, thank you so much for being with us on this episode, and thank you so much for globalizing the designing community. But wait a second, we still have not reached any conclusion yet. So now you guys help us decide who won this grist battle, bootcamp or degree. You can do that by commenting on our social media posts. So like, share and subscribe to see more dope content, and do not forget to press the bell icon. Also follow us on social media platform given in the description down below. We'll see you on 21st November at 6 p.m. again. Till then, take care and be safe, and have a very safe Diwali. Bye.